I like the way he did it. It's verse 1. And Job answered and said, verse 1 and 2. Verse 1 and 2. No doubt, but ye are the people, and wisdom shall die with you. He said, yes. You have all wisdom, and when he died, the whole world will become foolish. You are the repository of wisdom. Only you have wisdom, and you will die with your wisdom. Oh, wonderful! He gave it to them. No doubt at all. You are the wise people, and there is no other person that is wise. And when you die, wisdom will die with you. Everybody will be a fool. Wise people, thank you very much. He gave it to them. Then his verse 3 said, but don't deceive yourself. I am also having understanding. You are speaking as though you only have wisdom. I have wisdom too, my friend. I'm not as damn fool as you think I am. I'm not inferior to you, even though things are bad with me at this time. Does not mean that I'm inferior to you. I'm not inferior to you. A time comes when you call a bluff. First man came along, it was to put him down. Second man came along was to rub salt into the wound. Third man came along and he just gave it to him straight in his face. Zophar, he said, fool, you are full of talk, wind. He called him a liar in chapter 11, verse 2. Should not the multitude of words be answered, and should a man full of talk be justified? Should our lies make men hold their peace? I mean, such strong words. Yeah, he gave it back to them. He said, as one mocked of his neighbor who called upon God. So the just upright man laughed to scorn. So, it was said of Job, he was an upright man. Job knew his place and his faith in God. We must be sure of our standing with God. In all of these terrible, terrible trials, he has searched himself, and he was confident that this is not an ordinary trial. He came to the conclusion that it is the Lord that has allowed this. God has done this. It is not as a result of his sin. And we have it over and over in the scriptures. This child was born blind. Was it the sin of his parents? Or did he commit this sin in the womb that he was born blind? No. Neither his parents nor him sin. But that God may be glorified. That's what is happening to you. That God will be glorified in my temptation. As in the physical affliction of that child born blind, so in the temptations that will come across. Every temptation we overcome. We are told that. Let's go to the temptations of Jesus Christ. Matthew chapter 4, verse 11. Then the devil delivered him, and behold, angels came and ministered unto him. He has overcome these terrible trials, and angels came clapping, rejoicing. Every temptation we overcome brings joy to heaven. There is cheering in heaven. This is the situation. Whether there be physical trial or spiritual trial, or there be trials by words, any temptation we overcome brings joy to heaven. And God's approval and the strengthening of God, the Holy Spirit will come surging in you. Job is getting himself out. Now he looks at these people that are talking to him, and he sees that it was Satan talking through them to him. He turns to them and he gives it back to them. I am as one mocked of his neighbor. Yes, the just upright man is mocked to scorn. Yes, you people are at ease, and you are despising me because things are okay with you. Yes, verse 6. The tabernacles of robbers prosper. Yes, as you have said, yes. They that provoke God are secure, yes. Into whose hand God bringeth abundance. God seemed apparently, the big evil people do well, they prosper. Look at our corrupt politicians. It looks as if they are prospering and we are left behind. He said, but now go and ask this. They will teach you. The fowls of the air, and they shall tell thee. Speak to the earth, and it shall teach thee. And the fishes of the sea shall declare. I said, your wisdom is just mono-directed. By the things God has created, we learn lessons. There are lessons to learn. You who say you have wisdom. Even the ant teaches us wisdom. Go to the ant, thou sluggard. Learn her ways and do right. The ant stores towards the very wisdom towards the very. There are lessons for us to learn. Go to these things and these animals, and they'll teach you. Verse 10, verse 9. Who knoweth not in all these things that the hand of the Lord has wrought this? Who does not know that this thing that has happened to me were allowed by God, that God is in this my trial? Job is giving it hard to them. He said, go and learn wisdom from the beasts. Go and learn wisdom from the fowls of the air. Go and learn wisdom from the earth. Go and learn wisdom from the fishes of the sea. They all know. They will all teach you that God is in control of all their situations, in times and out of times. Who does not know this? Verse 9. God has allowed these things that have happened to me. You come to accuse me. You come to preach to me. In fact, ironically, he's telling them you don't even know anything. Your knowledge is warped. You have an impression that when a man is in trouble, it's as a result of his sin. And besides that, you have an impression that trouble does not come to a man who is upright. Yes, he has said, yes, the wicked prosper. Yes, it's true. But it's the prosperity of the wicked ends up where? Who knoweth who knoweth not in all these that the hand of the Lord hath wrought this? In whose hand is the soul of every living thing, and the bread of all mankind? Does not the ear try words, and the mouth taste his meat? Can't you reason? Can't you reason? Don't you know a word in season is, in fact, calling them foolish people, and they are the people who are talking like the wind. Don't know God and come to preach to him. With the ancient is wisdom, and in the length of days, understanding. Because you don't learn experience in the classroom. The older we become, the wiser we are, or should be. It is said here these days, the words of the elders are words of wisdom. Get that experience with age. He is saying in verse 13, with him is wisdom and strength. He has counsel and understanding. He is the ancient of days. God has wisdom. God has understanding. Nobody can put God in a box and say, yes, this is what God is going to do, or this is what God is doing, or this is why this is happening. Who is as old as God? Who is as ancient as God? Who has as much wisdom as God? God is omniscient. He is omniscient. He has all wisdom. So don't judge me in a small little thing. You and I are but yesterday. So how can we be so sure of what we are saying as preaching to me? God did this because of the God did that because of that, God did that because of that. How much of God's wisdom do you use? God, and then it begins to extol the powers of God and the ability of God. Behold, he breaketh down, and it cannot be built again. He shattered up a man, and there can be no opening. His powers are not past. Behold, he will judge the waters, and they dry up. Remember the crossing of the Jordan. Also, he sent them out, and they overturned the earth. You remember the drying of the Red Sea and the return of the sea to destroy the Egyptians after the Israelites have passed over. There's no searching of his understanding. There's no limit to his power. With him is strength and wisdom. The deceived and the deceiver are his. You don't think that you have left me behind. Just as you belong to God's control, so still, even in my condition, I'm under God's control. I have not been abandoned. The deceived and the deceiver are. He leadeth counselors away spoiled, and maketh the judges fool. He said, who can stand his wisdom? Speak no more so proudly. No. He said, the wisest judge is a fool before him. Counselors are spoiled. You come to counsel me. They come to judge me. God has made your wisdom foolishness. Their counseling and their counsels are useless. God is able to do anything with any king, to set up kings and to put down kings. He has power to do all of this. He can make and unmake. And there's nobody that can bluff God. Verse 21, he poureth contempt upon princes and weakness the strength of the mighty. The pride that people are showing up, the pride of the rich men, the pride of kings and paramount rulers and so on, mean nothing to God. If he chooses, he will reduce them to what they are. Weakness the strength of the mighty. Nebuchadnezzar was full of himself. He reduced him to a beast. Herod was on the throne and he was talking as though he is the Almighty. He was eaten up by worms, right in his princely garment. He discovered deep things out of darkness and bring it out to light, the shadow of death. People can make inquiry from Juju people and the occult. We want to know tomorrow, we want to know tomorrow. He is the one that knows tomorrow, the deep things that are not yet known to man. He is totally, everything is instantly present with him. There is no past with him. There is no present with him, and there is no future with him. Everything is instantly before him. That's the mighty God we have. He has power to increase. He has power to destroy. He has power to, and verse 23, he is giving it to them. He increased the nation and destroyed them. He enlarged the nation and straightened them again. And he gave. He has the power to take what he has given. What I'm passing through is all within God's ability, God's dream. I had wealth. I had children. I have been in health. But if today I've taken this, he is still in charge. He is still in control. He still owns me. Praise the Lord. That's why he told his wife, he was speaking like one of the foolish people. Shall we always have good things as the so-called modern preachers are preaching? Jesus has suffered to me, I will suffer no more. He bought my bread, he bought my sugar. Jesus now I am. All that rubbish. Who expect that God, everything, because we have become Christians, everything will be straight, good, prosperity. Who never prepare themselves for any eventuality. For 40 years, no single tablet entered my throat. No injection entered my body because of sin. I didn't rub methyl. I gave the testimony, and I gave it strong. After 40 years, immediately after I finished my 40th class, here was I, in hospital, admitted, operated upon, injection into tablets. I'm still giving the testimony strong truth. Does it mean that God has abandoned me? Maybe some people are thinking that way. Must I know only one side of God? Must I not know the other side of God? And wisdom is increasing with my age and experience. If I had been called home before my 40th anniversary, I would not have known this aspect of God. But now, I can speak on both sides. A person who has not given back yet cannot explain that pangs. But those who have given back to children can talk about single life as well as motherhood. They have more experience. Wisdom grows. We don't learn wisdom or experience in the classroom. Experience. Job, in fact, is telling them that I am better than you are. You only know about prosperity, the ability of God to prosper person. That's the only side you know. I have tasted the other side too. I have more experience, and therefore I know more of God's working than you. Verse 24, he taketh away the heart of the chief of the people of the earth, and caused them to wander in a wilderness where there is no way. Nebuchadnezzar is a typical example. He moved him from the palace and put him in the forest as a priest. The wisdom of God, the power of God to make and make. So the summary of it all is that good or bad, God is in control. God is in control. God is in charge. Don't put God in a test tube and say, this is the only way of God, but this is the way it works. The ability to say, I am in God's hand. Come rain, come sun. That's God's hand. He gives the rain, just as he gives the sun. Great statement, great speech. Job is coming back to himself. Times come when we look so helpless, but times come we stand up and say, enough is enough, and call the bluff of anybody or anything. Stand out and continue to have our testimony, our love for God. And we should not keep back our testimony. We should not stop speaking for God. May Lord bless you what I have in Jesus.